Earth lay in ruins. The skyline, once a testament to human achievement, was now a jagged silhouette of crumbling buildings and smoke-filled air. The vast cities that hummed with life had been reduced to silent, desolate wastelands. Streets were choked with the debris of what was, while the sky above carried the ash of destruction, dark and oppressive. The world had burned, and with it, humanity's hopes seemed to have crumbled into dust. The few survivors huddled in broken shelters, the quiet broken only by the distant sound of collapsing structures and the slow, eerie hiss of the wind over ruined landscapes. The invaders had come swiftly. An alien force, far more advanced than humanity could have imagined, had descended upon Earth with overwhelming power. They didn't just invade, they annihilated. Humanity's initial defense, though brave, was a futile stand against an enemy so technologically superior that resistance was crushed before it had truly begun. These aliens, cold and calculating, viewed humans as inferior, a species to be subdued without thought or challenge. Their vast armies, equipped with weapons that tore through Earth's defenses with frightening ease, swept through human strongholds, erasing them one by one. What little remained of human technology was outdated, primitive in comparison. Where humans fought with grit, the aliens countered with precision and sheer overwhelming force. Earth was quickly claimed, a broken battlefield under the control of a conqueror who saw it as little more than a stepping stone in their quest for dominance. In the midst of this devastation, someone rose from the ashes. A figure who, though previously unknown to history, would soon become its most pivotal actor. They were no celebrated general, no seasoned commander. Rather, they were a survivor, one who had watched as Earth's greatest minds and warriors fell, but who learned from every failure. This was the military genius, a strategist forged in the fires of humanity's defeat. Their mind worked not in conventional patterns, but with an insight that saw past the aliens' superiority to the subtle flaws in their tactics. Though lacking in resources, they had something more valuable, an unparalleled ability to adapt, to see opportunities where others saw none. This leader began to piece together the remnants of Earth's broken forces, transforming despair into resolve. In the chaos, as humanity's factions scattered, and survival seemed the only goal, the strategist emerged as a unifying force. They traveled from camp to camp, gathering survivors, sharing a vision not of mere survival, but of eventual victory. It was a bold, almost impossible idea. After all, Earth had been ravaged, its people fragmented, its armies obliterated. But the leader spoke not of defense, but of resurgence. Slowly, they pulled together the scraps of humanity's military, scientists, and engineers, those few who had lived through the onslaught and still harbored the fire of resistance. Where others saw ruins, the strategists saw potential. Under their leadership, once disparate groups began to coalesce, forming the seeds of what would become more than a rebellion. This was the beginning of a new force, one fueled by ingenuity, desperation, and a relentless desire not just to survive, but to conquer. From the ashes of defeat, humanity's spirit began to rise again, and with it, the first steps toward turning the tide. Humanity pushed to the brink of extinction, found strength not just in sheer will, but in innovation. With Earth's resources nearly depleted, humans turned to what remained of the enemy's technology. Salvaging the wreckage from downed alien ships and combining it with their own fractured engineering, they developed a weapon unlike anything the invaders had anticipated: AI-driven battle mechs. These machines were swift, agile, and devastating, their design a hybrid of human ingenuity and alien sophistication. The invaders' own technology, once a symbol of their dominance, was now turned against them. Humans adapted, creating something new, something lethal, with the power to shift the balance. What made these mechs extraordinary wasn't just the technology, but the strategic brilliance with which they were deployed. The protagonist, now leading this makeshift army, devised tactics that bewildered the aliens. No longer content to merely defend, humanity struck with precision. They launched hit-and-run assaults, appearing where the enemy was weakest and disappearing before they could mount a response. Alien supply lines were ambushed, command centers destroyed in the dead of night. These strikes were surgical, minimizing human casualties while maximizing enemy losses. What had once seemed an unassailable alien force now found itself bleeding resources, caught off guard by an enemy they could no longer predict. These attacks were more than physical, they were psychological. Each strike left the aliens more unsettled, more unsure. The humans did not engage in open warfare as they once had. Instead, their every move was calculated to instill fear, to remind the invaders that they were no longer safe. Panic began to spread among the alien ranks. The once unshakable conquerors now found themselves hesitating, their assumptions about humanity's weakness unraveling. One particularly devastating attack left an alien general in stunned disbelief. What they had once dismissed as a broken species had become their most terrifying adversary. Victory after victory emboldened humanity. They were no longer fighting alone. Other alien species, subjugated by the same conquerors, began to take notice. Slowly, cautiously, they reached out to the humans. These alliances were built on necessity, not trust. Yet, united by a common enemy, these alien species and humans formed a fragile but potent coalition. With their combined forces, they began to build something larger than any individual resistance, a true rebellion, one that would challenge the conquerors on every front. The tide of war was turning. Humanity wasn't just surviving, they were beginning to win. Humanity had come a long way from the ashes of Earth. With their forces organized and battle mechs perfected, they were ready to take the fight beyond the boundaries of their ruined planet. The first ships rose from Earth's broken surface, creations of salvaged alien tech combined with the last remnants of human engineering. As they lifted off, the sight was both somber and hopeful. Earth, scarred and desolate, was no longer the battleground. The real war was now in the stars. This was more than just a military maneuver, it was a symbolic moment. Humanity, once trapped and cornered on their home planet, was now reaching into the galaxy to claim their place. They were not fleeing Earth, they were rising from it. Each soldier aboard those ships knew they were fighting not just for survival, but for the right to exist on their own terms. Once in space, the scale of conflict shifted dramatically. The alien fleets were vast, outnumbering human forces many times over. Yet, what humanity lacked in numbers, they made up for in strategy. The protagonists' military brilliance shone in these moments. They didn't engage the enemy head-on. Instead, they used the vastness of space to their advantage. Ambushes were set in asteroid fields, small human fleets striking quickly and retreating before the aliens could respond. Larger enemy ships, slow and cumbersome, struggled to react to the fluid, unpredictable tactics of their human adversaries. In one decisive battle, the aliens attempted to trap a human fleet in a narrow stretch of space. The humans, however, had anticipated the move, luring the aliens into an ambush of their own, decimating an entire section of the alien fleet before disappearing into the blackness of space. With each victory, humans gained not only momentum, but intelligence. They began to see patterns in the enemy's fleet movements, weaknesses in their supply chains, and vulnerabilities in their coordination. The alien empire, built on overwhelming force and domination, was not used to adapting, but humans were. Using guerrilla tactics in space, humans slowly dismantled the infrastructure that the alien fleets relied upon. They targeted communication hubs, isolated smaller fleets, and sowed chaos in the empire's ranks. These were not battles of brute strength, they were battles of wit and patience. The protagonist's strategy was to make every move count, to break the enemy not by overpowering them, but by outthinking them. The turning point came when humans set their sights on a heavily fortified alien stronghold deep within enemy territory. This stronghold was not just a military hub, it was a symbol of the Empire's power, seemingly impenetrable. The aliens believed it was untouchable, but humanity had learned otherwise. Over weeks, the protagonist orchestrated a complex campaign of misinformation, drawing the alien fleet away from the stronghold while positioning their forces for the final strike. When the moment came, humanity unleashed its full might. The battle was fierce, but the humans, now skilled in exploiting the enemy's every weakness, pushed through the stronghold's defenses. As the fortress crumbled under the relentless human assault, the message was clear. Humanity was no longer a species on the run. They were conquerors now, and the galaxy had taken notice. The war had reached its final moments. The once mighty alien invaders, now shattered and demoralized, were left with no choice but to seek surrender. Their empire, which had stretched across the stars, had crumbled under the relentless assault of humanity. The negotiations were swift and absolute. Humanity, once considered insignificant, now dictated the terms. There would be no mercy, no concessions. The invaders, stripped of their power, would withdraw from the territories they had once claimed. The terms were harsh, but necessary. Humanity was no longer the broken species struggling to survive. They were the conquerors now, and the galaxy would remember their rise. With the invaders subdued, humanity stood ascendant. The galaxy had never seen anything like this, a species that had clawed its way from the brink of extinction to become a dominant power. The war had left its scars, not just on Earth, but on every human soul. Yet, those scars were worn as badges of honor. Humanity had proven not just its resilience, but its capacity to adapt, innovate, and unify in the face of overwhelming odds. Now, with their newfound strength, they took their place as a leading force in the galaxy. But unlike their alien foes, humans brought with them a sense of purpose. They valued freedom, cooperation, and the spirit of survival that had carried them this far. As they expanded their influence, they forged new alliances, creating a new galactic order based not on fear, but on mutual strength and respect. Still, they remained vigilant, aware that their rise had painted a target on their backs, and the challenges ahead would be no less formidable. Reflecting on their journey, it was clear that humanity's triumph was about far more than mere survival. From the ruins of Earth, they had risen to confront the most powerful forces in the galaxy and had not just endured, but conquered. Their story was one of unrelenting determination, of taking the blows dealt to them and turning them into fuel for their ascent. Humanity's spirit, tested and forged in the fires of war, had not broken. It had become indomitable. This was the essence of humanity. They weren't just survivors. They were something more, something the galaxy had never anticipated. They were proof that even when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges, the will to rise above, to master adversity, was humanity's greatest strength. Now, as they looked to the stars, they knew their future held even greater conquests, but they would face them with the same spirit that had brought them here. Conquering was not just about taking territory, it was about mastering themselves, and in that, humanity had truly conquered the galaxy.